All of you? Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah, 24th it will focus on 28th. I think today is the last class, no? Yeah. So the 24th counseling for adults and children. And another one is counseling adolescent for the better adjustment. That is the 24th unit. And 24th unit is the counseling for differently abled children, like challenged people. Okay. These are the two important units. These are the two important last things. Okay. These both are the important units, as well as there is so much of scope in counseling aspect. Adolescent counseling, whereas counseling for differently able people. Hello.
So there is a lot of noise in the background. We can't hear you properly.
No disturbance from my side. I think some others.
Yeah, some of the students needs to be muted.
So here, as we know, adolescent is crucial age in lifespan development of any individual. Because in adolescent stage, the name itself, adolescent is, the name itself is, it is the term adolescent is derived from the Latin word, that is adolescere, which means age of stress and strain. Okay, so that is the reason we have so many issues from these adolescent people. So counseling for adolescents to adjust themselves is a crucial role. Issues are more in this particular age of adolescent. Why? Because they need to face so many problems from their academic aspects and from their own personal issues, like rapid physical growth and rapid psychological problems may be there in that particular age. So, because of these issues, we need to counsel them in various issues. Learning problems, maybe because of their rapid physical growth, they may not be in a position, some adults may not be in a position to focus on their studies. Due to that reason, so they'll face some learning problems. And the problems of their own physical aspects, like rapid physical growth, as I mentioned, the rapid physical growth, some emotional disturbances. So these both, like rapid physical growth and the emotional issues, you'll find in this particular age of adolescent. Okay, so most of the adolescent people, they will face some sort of emotional disturbances. If these emotional disturbances are continuously for some months or years, the negative impact of this emotional issues adversely impact on their studies. That is, they'll face some learning problems. Got it? And thinking that due to their rapid physical growth, some sort of secondary sexual organs, characteristics, you can say. So they need to face, they'll face in this particular age of adolescence. And third one is after completion of their studies. So selection of their vocation. They need to opt to some job or some sort of vocation in their adolescent stage. So here also they will face some sort of conflicts in choosing the proper job, or you can say course. Okay. So here in this stage of adolescent, one is the learning problem. Second is the problem related to the vocation. Third is problem related to their job or vocation. Okay. Am I audible? All of you listen.
Yes, sir, but your voice is seems to be low actually.
Low?
I'm not sure whether that is because of your microphone or some disturbance in the background, but it is not that clear actually.
Now, how is it now? But it is, speaker is good.
Is it possible for you to mute everybody on the call?
Yeah. Caller muted. No? Anyway, I'll try to speak loudly. Okay. Here are some developmental aspects in adolescent stage. The developmental theories also we have related to the adolescent stage. One development theory is the psychosocial development theory by Erikson. So in this Erikson psychosocial development theory, there are two important perspectives. One is negative perspective, second is the positive perspective. For example, in this psychosocial development of Erikson, right from beginning, trust versus mistrust. I think you have idea about this Erikson's model. So in this particular age of adolescence, this age is known as the age of identity crisis, according to Erikson. According to Erikson's psychosocial development theory. So in this particular age of adolescent, they'll face some sort of crisis, or you can say identity crisis. Identity crisis means whether they are child or they are elders. So they wanted to identify themselves. Some sort of conflict, some sort of crisis they will face in this particular age of adolescence. So according to Erikson's psychosocial development theory, this age is known as age of identity crisis. Okay. Then some sort of fear related to the intimacy, fear of intimacy. So they wanted to maintain the intimate relations to some other peer group, classmates. So here, whether this identity crisis they face automatically, they have some fear of intimacy. Okay, how to maintain the relations with others in the group or in their class or with any other peer age group people. Yeah, that is another important criteria of this Erickson's model of adolescent, or you can say Erickson's psychosocial development theory. Then some sort of diffusion. Diffusion means so one important need to of this particular age in psychosocial development theory, according to psychosocial theory, they don't have some time perspective. Means this whatever the issues related to their age, only for its time being, they don't know that it's only short-term issues. They will think these are the continuous, they are the continuous problems they have to face in their life because of their misunderstanding about their issues in their particular age. They will face some sort of fear. Okay, so as a adolescent children, there are some other issues according to the Sigmund Freud. Okay. There are 5 stages of psychosexual developmental stages. According to Sigmund Freud, one is the oral stage, second is the anal stage, third is the phallic stage, fourth is the latency period, fifth is the genital stage. So this latency period and genital stage. So in this both stages, we'll find these both stages according to Sigmund Freud in this stage of adolescent. This is another important reason of the stress and strain. As I mentioned, there are 3 important problems of this adolescent. One is problem related to their education. You can say education related issues. Second is the vocational related issues. Third is the issues related to their physical aspect, like sexual issues. Rapid physical growth, as I mentioned, there are some hormonal changes in this particular age, the boys as well as the girls. So that is the reason these 3 or 4 issues they face in this particular age of adolescent. Okay, so that is the reason their stress and strain is more in this age of adolescent state. Then according to the psychosocial development theory and according to this psychosexual developmental theory, this age is crucial. This stage of adolescence is crucial. Okay, so here and even various cultural societies also, like Western cultural society and non-Western society. So cultural variation is also there. So in this particular age of adolescent, maybe gap of age, there may be gap of some sort of cultural issues, some challenging issues related to their religious traditions. Okay, so these are all the things we need to address while we are giving counseling to this particular adolescent people. And other social issues like language, culture, traditions, and some sort of religious customs. Okay, so when we are giving counseling, these are all the things we need to keep in mind depending on these issues, keeping in mind of all these issues, it's better to give counseling to this adolescent children or adolescent people. In some cases, their behaviors, like challenging behaviors, like some sort of addiction, some sort of behaviors, or you can say threatening behaviors. Okay, if you find these type of behaviors, better to improve their understanding, or you can say cognitive development. Okay, so here some sort of issues related to their self-image, or you can say self-concept, self-realization, according to the Carl Rogers humanistic theory. So we have to understand whether their self-image or self-concept is any threatening of their self-image or self-concept. Such the cases, better to strengthening of their self-image. Okay, and if there is any issue with the socialization, some cases, in some sort of cases, some type of issues, they will isolate themselves because of their poor social skills. Okay, so these, if we find these type of problems in this adolescent stage, better to improve the social skills so that socialization with the support of therapist as well as the family members and other peer group members. Okay, so sometimes we find some of the issues related to the family environment, or you can say conditions of the home, or you can say home conditions. Okay, parenting style, if the home environment is suitable to that particular child or not, and some sort of parental daily methods, parental styles, can say. If we find any issues related to this parental style, or you can say home environment, that is also one important thing we need to focus on. Another one is the environment related to their educational organization, like you can say the school environment, or you can say college environment. So if we have idea about these particular issues, better to focus on the environment related to the school as well as the college, or you can say any organization, education organization. So when we are giving counseling to these adolescent people, these are all the various issues we need to sort it out. One is if they have any problem related to the school or education, number one. Number two, any problem related to their personal, or you can say physiological as well as the psychological. Number three, any problem related to their vocation. Okay, so then we are addressing these issues. These are all the issues generally we find in this adolescent children, adolescent people. So when we are addressing these issues, various environmental factors that we need to check to verify. Okay, so after finalizing these environmental reasons or any other reasons related to their education, vocation, or physiological or psychological, then how to counsel the adolescent people. One is that provide the empathetical support. So always we need to understand the adolescent from their perspective. That means empathetical understanding, you can say, number one. And help the clients to identify the issues, actual issues. And we need to evaluate if there is any other alternatives. Okay. And if any problem related to the vocational issues, like they have any problem in choosing of their vocation, or you can say further education, the higher studies, be better to take the help of tools. There are some tools of choosing vocation, like DBDA, like David's Battery of Different Abilities, and and some other comprehensive interest, CIS, comprehensive interest scale. These are the some tools generally we use when we are giving some suggestions related to their profession, or you can say occasion. Okay, by using of these tools, by applying of these type of techniques, or you can say some sort of questionnaires, so it is easy to advise in respect of the occasion as well as the profession. Okay, so for example, if the CIS, comprehensive interest scale, there are so many different occasions will be there according to their interest. Then we find their interest. Automatically, it's easy to give proper suggestion in choosing of their vocation, or you can say job. Okay, yeah, and then some models, like one model is that this Egan's three-stage model. Egan's three-stage model. So if you observe this Egan's three-stage model, so initially one first stage is known as the introductory stage. In any counseling, especially in this adolescent counseling, first thing is that introductory, means introductory session discussing the client's current issues. Okay, and what are the reasons of this particular issue by improving the rapport established. Okay, that is the stage one. In this particular stage, actual issue we have to find out. The reasons also we need to focus on. Okay, stage one is introductory session. You can say in Egan's model there are three stages. Stage one is introductory session. We need to discuss various the current problems related to the adolescent. Here in this current issue, for a problem is, for example, in adolescent issue, if any problem related to academic aspects. So, for example, if the 9th class child or 8th class student, if he or she is facing some problem related to the academic, for example, they are not in a position to focus on, they are not in a position to concentrate on the mathematics, particular subject of mathematics. So here, that is the current issue of the client, current issue of the adolescent child. So here, what to do? So better to find out the reason why this is happening in this particular age. Previously, he was good, or she was good up to the 6th class, 7th class. He is so perfect in the mathematics. But when they entered in this particular class of 8th or 9th class, they are not in a position to focus on this particular subject of mathematics. So this is the current issue. In this first session, here if we just an example I'm giving here. So if you find this type of problem in this adolescent child, so current issue is that not focusing on the mathematics subject, not focusing on the mathematics classes or lectures. Okay, so here previously this child was good in the previous classes like 7th class or 8th class. Only in this particular 8th class or 9th class, she or he is not in a position to focus on the particular subject. So here, when we are finding the reasons of this issue, what to do? Already mentioned, there are some methods of finding the psychological status. One is introspection method, second is the observation method, third is the case study method, fourth is the experimental method. Here, case study method can apply. Case study method means detailed study of this particular child or student of 8th class or 8th class. For example, if he is the age of 13 or 14 years of age, so what to do first in case study method? First of personal details we have to take. Personal details means his age, his health conditions, weight, and strength, everything. That is a personal details. So how can you justify? How can you or how can we find out the problem in the mathematics? There are some bases of finding the mathematics subject. There are some basis of finding this issue. better to observe the progress cards, the cumulative records of the child in the previous classes. So up to 6th or 7th class, his record was good in mathematics especially. Okay, only this particular 8th class, and even or you can say this there are some that is assessment measures in the school system. Okay, so those records we better to check. So the reason is here in this particular issue, the reason when you find out the reason, so we need to check their progress record, or you can say cumulative records of the students. If we find only in this particular 8th class or 9th class, the performance of the child is low. Previously, his or her performance is good, even the mathematics also. Okay, so by observing, by studying this particular progress cards or cumulative records, you can easily find out the problem of the child. So that means we need to confirm that the child or the parents of the child, their complaint or their issue is that not performing, not in the mathematics, only in the mathematics. So by observing this particular, by studying of all these records, you can confirm their issue. Now, reasons, how to find out the reasons. See, in some cases, as I mentioned, this is the age of stress and strain. Some physical or psychological disturbances may be there in this particular age of adolescence. So that could be one of the reasons, because suddenly some changes of their body, some changes of their physiological condition, that might be one of the reasons of this not performing in this particular subject. But they are performing in other subjects. So we need to rule out. So this may not be the reason, because if that is the case, if the problem is with their physiological or any other issues related to their health, so but in other subject they are performing good, is same good. Only the mathematics means maybe some other reasons. Here we need to check the mathematics curriculum. Means up to 6th or 7th class, the curriculum weightage may be somehow different. Now in this particular 8th class or 9th class, some new subjects may be introduced in this particular 8th or 9th class, like algebra or maybe any other subjects like trigonometry or matrix, like or geometrical concepts. So these particular students, he or she is not in a position to understand this particular new topics which is introduced in this 8th class or 9th class. That may be one of the reasons. So this is the way we need to understand various issues related to this adolescent stage. As I mentioned, maybe one reason could be their rapid physical growth, sudden changes in their physiological aspects. Number two is that the issue related to their subject, or you can say curricular aspects, content aspects. Third is another problems may be related to their peer group, family environment, or the school environment. This is the way we have to check each and every issue related to each and every reason, each and every area related to the issue. Okay, so this is all in this particular stage of initial stage, or you can say introductory stage. Then after finding the reasons, what to do? Better to find out the solutions. Directly can't give any solutions in this particular age group. So what to do? Better to take the help of the teachers or any other professionals related to their field, or you can say college. Got it? Hello. Yeah. Now in the second stage of Wiegand's model, so better to have some solutions with the help of the parents, teachers, and the client, or we can say the student. So what to do if you find the problem is with their physiological or you can say age-related issues, better to ask the child or better to counsel the student or you can say client. These issues, what are the issues he or she is bothered? So these are all only a time being or you can say some type of issues only for some months. Okay, these things are better to explain to the student or you can say client. And if the problem is related to their, if you find any issue related to the subject or you can say content. So here, not only the child's counseling or you can say counseling with student, better to involve the parents as well as the teachers. Ask the teachers or school authorities to arrange some remedial class in the particular subject. Or even not even subject, some topics may be there in the particular mathematics. Because, for example, in the 9th class, some 15 or 20 topics are there. Only some 3 or 4 topics. He or she is not in a position to concentrate on the particular topic because of the hardship. Some topics like content hardship may be there because of their content. So the child or the student is not in a position to focus on the particular subject or topic. If it is the case, such a case in that particular cases, so better to involve not only the parents, better to involve the teachers also, subject related persons also. So this is the way we need to give the counseling in the second stage. Actual issue we need to focus on. If the problem is related to the environment, like the family environment or the school environment or the peer age group issues. So whatever the issue related to this family environment or the school environment, sometimes maybe the peer age group issues. So those things also better to discuss with the concerned persons. Got it? Then next one is the third stage. Third stage means in Hegel's model, here in Hegel's model, the third stage is the final, what are the issues, better to give some tips in order to resolve the issues. Okay. For example, first one is the introductory session. Second is the middle stage, or you can say actual plan of action. Okay, some goals, some objectives we need to frame in this particular stage of second one. In this case, for example, if this child is not or a student is not in a position to focus on the subjects, our goal is to improve the concentration of the child or the student. That is our goal. So here, goal setting is another important thing in this second stage of Hagen's model. Got it? And here the third is the one important step, that is the practical step. That means the step related to this, how to implement these issues in a practical way, in a practical manner. Yes. For example, if the student is not focusing on the particular subject, as I mentioned, better to ask the teachers to take some remedial classes, doubts clarification classes. That is number one. Number two is that practically ask the student or the child to give some more, to allot some more time to this particular subject of mathematics, because he or she is facing some problems in understanding the mathematics subject or some particular topic of the mathematics or some other subjects. So ask the children, ask the student or the client to allot some more time on this particular subject. So this is the way we need to identify the issue, then some goals be better to set for the student. And in final stage, practical measures, practical things, or you can say practical issues. Okay. That whatever the important issues in this particular case, better to ask the child or the student to achieve the goals. The specific goals we have to give in the second stage. In third stage, practically how to reach that goals, how to achieve that. Setting goal is the second stage. Initial stage is the introductory stage, identifying the problem, identify the reason. Then second is the setting the goal stage. Third is the achieving the goals with collaboration with other stakeholders like parents, teachers, or peer group children. So here in this 24th unit, the main focus is adolescent, adjustmental issues of adolescent, how to counsel the adjustmental issues of this particular adolescent stage. As we know, adjustment means personal adjustment, adjustment related to their subjects, or you can say educational adjustment issues, and some cases adjustment with the peer group, and in some cases adjustment to their vocation, or you can say choosing of their vocation. So these are the general problems we see in the adolescent children, or you can say adolescent students.
So this against three-stage model, basically, it looks like it is the very pretty generic model for resolving any kind of a problem, where you have same, like you have identification stage, you have design and plan stage, and you have the execution stage. So this is there in normally for every kind of problem resolution. So what is this? I don't know how this is specifically talking about the adolescence part of it.
See, Egan's model, this is the general model in any aspect. Only example I am giving this here in this adolescent stage. These are the problems generally these adolescent people will face. This Egan's model is a general model. You can
okay.
Model in any case. Just I am citing one example of the adolescent.
Got it. Thank you.
And already it is mentioned in your test, in your material also. Egan's specifically they mentioned in this particular adolescent, in this particular 24th unit. Egan's model you can apply in any issue, but they mention in this particular unit of 24. The reason I cited this one.
Yeah, because it is mentioned in the 24, I was curious to understand why this is like, is it specific to the adolescents or it is generic?
But that is your doubt, I understand, but that they mentioned here. This Egan's model is a common model. You can use it in any case.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So an example also I'm giving this in applying this Egan's model, how to counsel the first step. Generally, in any counseling stage, first stage is the introductory stage. When I am taking the example of this particular adolescent, introductory means these are the things we need to find out, like whether the child is facing some problem related to their stress. This is related to their bodily changes. Whether the child or the student is facing some problem related to the content of subject.
Yes, sir. Understood the specific example that you have given. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fine. And we move to the next one, that is the last one, 25th unit, counseling for differently abled children. You can see different challenger people. Now it is it's a burning topic nowadays. In the recent parliament, also they passed a new act related to this mental health people, or can say mental health issues. Okay. So here we know that differently abled child or you can say differently challenged people means there are some issues related to their children, some functioning, their neurological issues, their functioning issues, their structure related issues, maybe some abnormality you can find in these children or in these people. That is the reason we are called these people as the differently abled people, or you can say challenging people. Disability also you can see it's, we can say it's a disability. Okay. So now the new amendment act, they are changing their name also, because differently able, we can't say it's a disability people. So it is differently able people who can challenge the people. Okay. So why this differently challenge or you can say differently able people means due to their issues related to their functioning, and means physiological aspects, psychological aspects, neurological, or some sort of function related issues. Okay. So the impairment may be neurological impairment, maybe physical impairment. Physical impairment means again visual impaired. Okay. Then the impairment may be some sort of functioning, some sort of structural impairment. Okay. So this all comes under this physically challenged, or you can say disabled, differently able people. Okay. Here, for example, when we are calling them as a disabled people, or you can, for example, visually able or any other handicapped. Okay. So we need to define it. There are some there is some criteria. So basing on that particular criteria only, you can say these are the challenged persons, or you can say challenged people. For example, mentally challenged. Mentally challenged means as we discussed in the previous class. So I think again I'll repeat. Mentally challenged means that mentally challenged. How can we tell? Like how can we say they are the mentally challenged people? Means basing on their IQ levels. Okay, IQ levels. For example, if the IQ of the person is above 90, is a normal person. Okay. If it is below 90 and above 70 means borderline. They also they also treat as the borderline, means near to normal. That is up to 90, 70, above to 90 is borderline IQ. If the IQ is between the 70 and 90, we call them as the borderline MR, or you can say borderline mentally challenged, means they are near to normal. Then below 70, these are all known as the mentally challenged people. Mentally, if the IQ level is below 70, again there are some classifications below 70 also. Mild means 50 to 69 is the mild. If the IQ level of the individual is between 50 to 69, so here mild mentally challenged, or you can say mild mentally retardedness. If it is below 50, then 35, above 35 to you can say 49, that is moderate mentally retardation. Okay. Then if it is below 35 means up to 34, 20 to 34, IQ is between 20 to 34. These people or these children are known as the severe mental retardation. Then below 20 is the profound mental retardation. Why I am giving this example means any impairment, whether it is visual impairment, whether it is mentally retardedness, or any other issue, there are some there is some base of assessment. Basing on the assessment, basing on their levels, we say we'll call them as the mentally challenged or any other challenging related issues. Okay. So these classifications may be then in any disability or in any impairment, like visual impairment, audio visual impairment. Okay. And even neurological issue also may be there. Then after assessing their issues, after confirming their problem, these are the mentally or physically challenged children. So what to do means there are some facilities from the government side or from the other non-governmental side also. These things is better to explain to the patients as well as the caregivers. Because if the patient is not in a position to understand these issues, better to explain these issues or better to explain their facilities to the caregivers of the patient, or you can say family members of the patient. Okay, so here our main motto of giving counseling to these children as well as the parents means creating some sort of awareness. Okay, and in some cases acceptance also needed. They won't accept their issues. So after even after completion of their diagnosis, the problem is with the acceptance level. The level of acceptance will be very low in the client as well as in the caregivers. Okay, so here this type of if we find this type of issues related to their acceptance, better to improve the insight of the person as well as the caregivers. Insight, we need to improve the insight, and psychoeducation we need to provide. Okay, then self-awareness. Then another important thing is the physical independence, and means though they have some problems of their motor disability and other visual impairment or any other multiple, some cases multiple impairment, multiple disability. If you find this type of issues also, better to improve their independence. You can say physical independence. Okay, some sort of mastery of daily living skills. They are supposed to do their activities on their own. That is the ultimate aim of giving this counseling or any other facilities are related to this particular children or the people. So independent living, or you can say daily living activities, daily living skills, we better to improve so that they'll do their activities on their own without depending on any other caregivers or the family members. That is the one important objective of giving counseling to this particular children of persons of this particular challenge. One is physical independence. Second is the improving the mastery on their daily living activities. Ask them to do their activities on their own. That is number one. Number two. Second is self-awareness, and you can say social maturation. Self-awareness means creating some sort of awareness of their own issue, their disability, can say. Okay, so self-awareness not only in the children, not only in the caregivers, we better to create awareness in the society also. Some sort of CBR. CBR means community-based rehabilitation. Rehabilitation services. Community-based rehabilitation means awareness. We need to create awareness among the children, among the caregivers, or in the society also. For example, in the society, if there is any problem with child, so that society, or you can say the people of a particular community or society that is responsible to that particular society or the community to send that particular children or the persons nearby mental health organizations. That organization which is related to the mental health issues. So better to ask them to go to the particular issues. This is the responsible society. This also one comes under the social awareness. Community-based rehabilitation services also improving this awareness. One is physical independence of the children. Second is the ask them to grow independently, or you can say mastery over their daily living activities. Second is the creating awareness among the children or among the people of particular challenging issues. Then caregivers. Then creating awareness in the society. Then if it is any possibility, better to improve their academic aspects also. After finding the issue, if this problem is mild, or as I mentioned, there are some classifications, even the mental retardation or any other impairment also. If you find the problem is mild, means trainable people. If the problem is mild IQ or mild issue, that means we can train the child. In that, if the person is trainable, you can train up the child, you can train up the person, so that you can give some sort of academic aspects, some sort of special education to this particular children. As we know, there are some different types of systems of our education. One is normal education in the normal schools. Then special education to the special needs. These are all the special needed children. That is the reason we provide some type of special education to these children. Okay. Then means we are improving academic growth of this particular children. So that means we are providing some special education to the special needed children. These are all the special needed children. The second type of it. Third is the inclusive education. Inclusive education is, so the problem is minimal problem like mild issue. Better to include this particular children of 3 or 4 in a normal school. That is known as the inclusive system. These are the various systems of education: normal system of education and special education for special needs children. Then inclusive education. So after completion of their education, minimum education like 8th class or 10th class, or maybe inter levels, at least up to 10th class, they have their own career chances, scope of career. Okay, so some sort of job, some sort of occupations designed particular to this particular children. So better to provide this type of information to the challenged people as well as the caregivers of the particular children. Okay. So even the career planning also, so better to give some sort of rehabilitation services. Rehabilitation service means, so rehabilitation service means there are some rehabilitation facilities like it may be the child, maybe infant child, or maybe the childhood stage child, or maybe the adolescent child. So during the infancy child, there are some skills we can easily improve by giving some rehabilitation services, right? Like development of sensory and motor skills if the children are the infancy or early childhood child. Okay, so communication skills will provide. Then self-help skills. By providing this type of rehabilitation services, their growth maybe some sort of skills can be improved. For example, if the child is childhood or you can say adolescent stage, so some sort of academic skills like basic academic skills on activities of daily life that can be provided, that can be improved through this rehabilitation services. And some sort of social skills. Okay, these are all possible to improve this. We can easily improve to up to some extent. Okay, so then if it is adolescent, I can say adulthood children, adulthood people. So vocational performance and social responsibility. These are the skills we need to improve in providing the rehabilitation services. One is the if the child is infant child or in early childhood child stage. Okay, during the infancy or you can say early childhood stage, some developmental aspects like sensory issues, motor skills. If the problem is with the speech therapy can give, and you can provide the some sort of occupational therapy, and you can say some sort of related issues related to motor skills, physiotherapy, and behavioral therapy. These are the various therapeutical procedures we provide in rehabilitation service of these children, depending on the stage, like infant, or childhood, or adolescent stage, or it may be adulthood stage. Okay, so if this rehabilitation service, if you provide, so that automatically some sort of improvement related to their motor skills, related to their social skills, related to their communication skills, related to their self-help skills, this can be provided. This can be improved by providing some sort of rehabilitation services. And in some cases, community awareness also we need to improve so that these children, they have some sort of rights, or you can say some sort of responsibility, so that they will utilize their facilities. For example, if the problem is around, if the problem of the child or problem of the person is around is moderate, severe and profound, some facilities they'll get from the government, like some pension. Like if the problem is severe, profound, or moderate, so for these children, the government gives some sort of monetary benefits. Okay, like pension, like 3,000, depending on the state government. In some state governments, they provide 3,000 rupees per month. Some governments, depending on the percentage of disability. For example, if it is 50% of disability, in some states, the problem is the percentage of the disability is 50%. They will provide some sort of 50 to 2,000 per child or per person, depending on the percentage of the disability, percentage of the impairment, the monetary benefits they'll get from the state government as well as the central government. This is number one. Number two, as we know, there are some reservations, percentage of reservation, like 3%, 4% to these children in education institutions. In some states, they'll give 5% or 6% of the reservation also in the education institutions to get the higher education. Or even jobs also, maybe state government or central government, depending on the state governments, depending on the governmental policies, they'll have some type of reservations in jobs, I can say in the occasions also. And in some facilities like loans from the banks, they want to get they want to open shops, or they want to do some small scale business, small type of businesses. Some financial assistance, the financial assistance will be given by the governments. These are all the various facilities they'll have, they'll get these facilities. So these type of suggestions, as a psychologist, as a counselor in our counseling process, will easily provide to this. By knowing of all these things, we better to create the awareness among the children of these particular issues and the caregivers, and finally social awareness also provide. Hello? And in some cases, some sort of facilities they will provide in the workplace also. If they want to do some work or some job, some vocation, so even on the workplace also, some facilities in some organizations they will provide to these challenged persons or the challenged people. And the counseling also needed, not only in this particular area for challenging persons, some sort of parental counseling also needed. For example, if after completion of their assessment, if the problem is a severe problem, okay, when we complete the assessment, then after completion of our assessment, if we find problem is it's a severe problem of this particular child, so immediately when we are giving this particular details to the parents, they will face some sort of depression or stressful conditions. If such the case, in the such the cases, better to provide the counseling to the parents. So that is nothing but parental counseling, or you can say caregivers counseling. Counseling to the child or counseling to the parents also needed. So some cases, like if the problem is severe or profound, that may be the lifetime issue. So these things better to explain to the parents or caregivers in our counseling process. Actually, in any psychological, especially in this problem of physically challenged or mentally challenged people, some cases, in some, there are three important stages of this particular issue. One is the severity, means the problem is, it's not a short-term issue, it's a long-term issue. Means lifelong they need to suffer with that problem. Like, okay, that is one. For example, Down syndrome, or you can say CP. These are all the lifetime issues. That is number one, because the problem is in the neurological issue. The problem is from the both. Okay, So if such the cases, if you find, better to explain to the parents. So we need to go along with the children, or as well as the parents also need to face the situation for the life. So that's a lifetime issue. Number one means it's not so easy to reduce the problem in that particular cases. So those things are better to explain in our counseling process. Second is the in some cases maintain the status quo. The same problem may not be reduced, that may not be increased. So better to control the symptoms of the particular issue. That is the second type of stage. The third is, in some cases, in some issues, we can reduce the severity. One is severity may be increased. In some cases, the severity may be same for the lifetime. Third is the severity can be reduced. So these are the various stages, various levels we need to understand. And whatever we find in our result, whatever we find in our assessments, better to explain to the parents in our parental counseling, so that they'll make their mindset to face the challenges in the future course of time. So this is the way we have to counsel the children of this physically or mentally challenged issues. One is the symptoms, better to explain. Second is the various facilities, we better to explain. Third is the how to go along with the problem. That means parental counseling, we need to explain. And the various facilities, so how to improve the condition of the persons or the people or the children. Second is what are the various educational systems to improve their academic aspects. And then occasional guidance also can be. So what are the various jobs or occupations or the professions suitable to these children of physically or mentally challenged. Okay. Any doubts, anything you want to ask? So another thing is that, so whenever we want to explain the disability, or you can say challenging, physical or mental challenge, as I mentioned, in terms of their issue, how the impairment, whether it is borderline issue, whether it is mild, it is moderate, it is severe and profound, any issue like physically or mentally or multiple issues. So we have some systems of explaining assessment. We need to follow that assessmental procedures, so that we will find out the final diagnosis of the particular child or the person. Depending on that, so better to give the counseling. So here we take the advice of the other professionals like pediatricians or any other professionals like occupational therapists, speech therapists, physiotherapists, and the behavior therapists. So that with the combination of all these therapeutical professionals, we will give proper suggestions to the person as well as the caregivers. Especially in the parental counseling, some sort of attitudes we need to change. Okay, some parents they will think that this is our fate. Okay, and some parents they'll think that is the some sort of issues they that is means their wrong belief systems. Okay, they'll think that because of their sins, depending on their family, these things. Okay, so this disability is happening to their children. If we find any such wrong belief systems in the parental things, better to change their attitudes. So this type of attitudes, if there is any negative attitude, if you find any negative attitudes in the family members or the caregivers, okay, so better to change their attitudes. In some cases, they won't come to the treatment also because they'll think that is our fate. We don't want to go any help from any other profession. If such those cases, also better to change their mindset. So ask them to change their mindset to a negative thinking, better to change their negative thinking to the normal or can say positive thinking. And as I mentioned, awareness not only in the parents, awareness will be better to create among the children or the community also. Okay, so there are some community-based rehabilitation services, and some placement cells also be provided to these children of challenging people, and vocational training facilities, community rehabilitation, creating awareness in the community, the parents, families, neighborhood families. Okay, then some sort of vocational training also will be provided to these challenger people, and some workplace settings, workplace cells also, placement cells you can say, especially for these children. Okay, and finally, there are some rights of the disabled. Those rights, that means they'll have their rights. So right of getting education, right of getting any vocation or any job, and right of getting some concession from the government side, right of concession in the employment side, some sort of comprehensive educational programs also. They have their own they have their own rights. Okay, some sort of employment like regular employment, employment of the employment exchange, or there are some employment exchanges also to these disabled children. These are all the various issues we better to explain to these children as well as the parents. Okay. So finally, we discuss about the disability. Disability means physical disability, mental disability. Then maybe some sort of multiple disabilities, means multiple handicap, you can say, physically challenged, visual challenged. Okay. So these are the various disabilities, or you can say various issues related to their mentally, physically challenged people. Those things we already discussed them. Some issues related to the counseling procedures. In counseling, better to explain the various facilities, how to improve the uh, 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 these skills, social skills, or you can say motor skills, or educational skills, communication skills. This is one important aspect we need to focus in our counseling process. Then creating awareness, the children, the parents, or the caregivers. Then some awareness programs better to improve in the community also, community-based rehabilitation services. In rehabilitation services, there are so many other facilities that we provided to the children, and some sort of facilities from the government and non-government organization side, some sort of organizational help. Okay, these are all the various things, some sort of therapeutical procedures, therapeutical rehabilitations. Okay, rehabilitation services. These are all the issues we need to focus, we need to explain in our counseling to the disabled people, especially in the parent counseling. So if they are stable, or the parents are stable, they can easily give some sort of service to their children. So parental counseling also needed. If they are in stressful condition, the parents are having some sort of depression, it's not so easy to give proper care to the children. That is the reason parental counseling as well as the caregivers counseling. There are some caregivers issues like financial issues, then issues related to their jobs, issues related to their family issues, issues related to their uh, physical and psychological conditions. These are all the issues we better to discuss in the parental counseling, because they need to support, because it's not so easy to support the physically challenged children. So in order to improve their coping mechanism, in order to improve their coping strategies, some sort of therapeutical processes we needed to the parents also. That means parental counseling. It's not so easy to cope up with the situations. So some cases we need to change the family environment also to put their children's issues. So if it is the such cases, better to change the family environment in order to resolve the issues related to the children. So financial aspects need to change, environmental issues we better to discuss, and issues related to the jobs, workplace, and other issues of the families also we need to discuss in the counseling process. So that our ultimate aim is to improve the present condition of the physically or mentally or any other children or person facing these disabilities, so that they'll have their own capabilities, they'll have their own daily living activities, and they'll work on their own, so that independently they need to go along with other members in the family. So that is the ultimate aim of providing counseling services or the psychological counseling to this physically, mentally challenged. Any doubt?
Sir, all of this would be documented, or how many sessions or something of that sort, these two different aspects. How is this taken care of?
Means these two means we're talking about.
No, everybody may have a history of things, right? Like they have moved from one place to another, they may have attended a counseling, or one or other thing may have happened for those physically challenged people.
Mm-hmm.
That is number one. But do they need to document for every counseling session whichever they attend, because they need to know how they are progressing year
Yes,
after
yes.
year?
Why not? Why not? Counseling format is there. Yes, for every counseling. Yes, why not?
So it has to be acknowledged by the parent also and the counselor that this is in this
Yeah,
session
yes,
this
yes,
has
yes,
happened,
yes,
and
yes, yes, yes.
even for the physical challenged people also.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah. In
With the
other,
consent only, they have to do some tests or anything like that, or consent is not needed?
yeah.
A consent is needed for doing any tests or anything, because they are already depressed, and
Mm-hmm.
on top of it, some therapies or some suggestions or some counseling, one or other way is being done. So consent has to be taken, or that is not needed?
You are talking about the parental assessment, or
Yeah,
talking
because
you
the
are talking
parent
about.
is taking care of the abnormal, the caregiver perspective.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are back. There was some disturbance, I guess.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, it is fine, sir.
Yeah. You just. What's the question? I didn't get
There are
what.
three questions, sir. First question, when physically challenged or a kid who has special challenges would be addressed, those cases have to be documented every stage at which whenever there is a counseling happen. And
Mhm.
also, does that counseling has to be taken as a consent from the caregiver who is helping them, because they have to be more careful while handling them. So in these two contexts, the documentation of the caregiver is given as a counseling, or that is just as a caregiver's. So that is not a counseling. That is just
Oh,
precautions.
that is also count. That is also comes under counseling. Yes, yes, yes. The question is, see, one is the counseling to the actual person. That's number one. That can be also documented. Second is the counseling to the parent. As I mentioned, parental counseling also needed. We have formats. We have systems in counseling procedures. For
So it is not
example,
just a guidance or something, but it is all well documented, well.
well-documented counseling systems are there. Yeah, guidance is different. Counseling procedures are there. In
Because
in
when
any
anybody goes to
organization which is related to the mental health profession,
okay,
definitely, yeah, they'll maintain the documents and files. Not only in that particular organization, but the psychiatric hospitals also. For example, in psychiatric issues, definitely they will maintain the records. Yeah. For example, if I administered any IQ test, after completion of my assessment of IQ, if I find any problem with the children, like mild, moderate, or severe, yes, I need to document it. I need to give in the written. Format is there. After
the
completion of my, yeah, I after completion of my
consent of taking that information and the consent of using that information, like the consent in both ways. Like, let's say you have done an IQ and you would not take the name or anything, but you're using that data. Can that be done, or that shouldn't be done?
yeah, that should be done. Completion of this assessment, we better to give the document to the parents. The concern also we need to take from the parents before taking the assessment. Better to take it, because if the child is not having that much of knowledge, if that IQ levels is very low, better to take the consent from the parents. After getting consent only, we need to take all these steps. We need to take all the precautions when we are doing these services of any physically or mentally challenging persons. We have to follow this protocol. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, all of you, I think it's the last class. That is the reason I am giving all these suggestions. So if you have any doubts in any subject, okay, if you want me to take another classes, 1 or 2 classes, I have no problem. Even the important questions also I am ready to explain. Want to take some other 1 or 2 classes anytime, you can arrange your own this thing, that is group. You can form a group for 40 minutes or 30 minutes, okay, or you can 1 hour also I'm ready to. But only thing is you organize the answers properly, okay.
Like how can we coordinate that, sir? I mean,
So better to be generally what we see, your seniors, they form a group like 10 members or 15 members, whatever the doubts they wanted to.
I mean, how to contact you? Can you share your phone number or email
Yeah,
ID?
phone number is there. Your group members, some of we have my phone number.
Okay.
Only thing is better to inform in advance.
Of course.
Yeah, but I only the weekends and I am free Saturday and Sunday. For example, if you want to take 40 or 50 minutes of 1 hour session, I am ready to take any doubts clarification class.
So I don't know. I mean, when you say that some of the senior members, I mean, I don't know who are the senior members in the group. So is it possible?
No, I'm not talking about in your batch. Previous batch I'm talking about. Seniors means your previous, the senior batch.
Okay.
Seniors means not in your group, not in your class. Your senior means your previous batch.
Okay.
Anyway, you can note my number. No problem.
Yeah, can you please tell us, sir?
98852
98852
68184.
Sir,
thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, Anuradha, yeah, sure, tell me. Yeah.
98852 68184. Is that correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, would it be okay for you next week, sir?
Yeah, no problem. Fine.
Next Saturday and Sunday?
Please confirm the timings before
Yeah.
Yes, time. no problem. And specifically, you please give the so and so topics and so on. So this unit, or as per your convenience, only better to inform in advance. That's it. Okay.
Sir, from the exam point of view, I
Yeah.
need your guidance which blocks to actually focus more upon, because there are so many topics. Some of them would require just an overview of it. Some would be needing in-depth understanding. So I need some help on which topics are very important, that are really focused even in the practical counseling per se as well.
Yes, yes. See, already now it is 1:30. If I start explaining all these things, definitely within 2 or 3 minutes, they will close our session from your this thing, technical side. So you better to call or better to ask these type of questions now next session if it is possible. Okay, it's
Okay,
already
sir.
1:31. Okay.
Okay.
So start will take minimum of 20 to 25 minutes, but they won't allow me to do classes. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Can we leave the meeting now? Sir? Hello? Hello?
Thank you.